Hello and welcome. How do you know how much food you'll need for your climbing trip? And what types of food should you bring? Well, let me offer a few suggestions based on my years of experience. But first, a disclaimer. Everyone is unique and there is no one size fits all. However, what I'll recommend here are some general rules of thumb to help start your menu planning, but it's up to you to adjust accordingly. First, let's talk about some of the nutritional categories of food that will help in your planning. All foods contain a mixture of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, just in different proportions, so there is always overlap. Now, carbohydrates are the fuel for the body. They provide energy to keep you going, which is very important in physical activities such as backpacking and climbing. And there are two types, simple and complex. Simple carbs provide quick boost energy to get you going. Fruits and candies are examples, but they don't last long and they're quick burning. So then we add complex carbs, which are slower burning and provide energy over a longer period of time and helps keep you going. Oats, grains, and legumes are examples of complex carbs. Now, if carbs keeps the body going, proteins builds and repairs the body so it can go. Proteins include meats, dairy, and nuts. Fats help regulate overall health of the organs and the immune system. Protein foods are good sources of fats, and fats are also high in calories, which we'll talk about next. The average person consumes between 2,000 and 2,500 calories in a normal daily routine. But well, who is average and what is a normal routine? Now, while it's hard to quantify, you probably already know and apply it based on your experience and common sense. You know when you're overeating and undereating and what is a normal amount of food that you eat. And it's probably somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 calories a day. The closest estimate that I could find for backpacking and climbing is the 1.5 to 2.5 pounds per day, or 2,500 to 4,500 calories a day. Now, that is a pretty big spread, so let me offer something that I think will be more useful. Start with the normal daily requirement between 2,000 or 2,500 calories, depending on your size and gender. Then add 200 to 250 calories for every hour of strenuous activity, and that will get you into the ballpark on your caloric needs. Now note the difference between the approach day and the summit day based on the numbers of hours of activity. So you can see how this system is tailorable to the amount of expected physical activity rather than a one-size-fits-all. So this is how it works. Start with the 2,000 or 2,500 calorie baseline, and I'll use 2,000 just to keep it simple. I then split that between the two main meals, breakfast and dinner, so 1,000 calories for each. This brings your metaphorical battery up to a full charge. And then to keep your battery at full, plan on snacking between 200 and 250 calories for every hour for the duration of your climb or approach. Now, if you didn't eat a large breakfast or dinner, just shift those calories to your snacks. Snacking hourly will keep your energy level up rather than running it down in between the main meals. Now, here are some meal and snack examples. This represents a typical Alpine start breakfast. My main atom with the complex carbs for sustained energy are 2 packets of instant oatmeal for a total of 320 calories. Then to boost that up and to increase the simple carbs for quick energy, I add a half a box of raisins for 45 calories, and then I'll also add a tablespoon of honey for an additional 60 calories. Since it lacks protein, I add half a scoop of protein powder for 65 calories, and for fun, I put in a stroopwafel, also known as a stinger. In all total, this is typically about 660 calories. Again, I talked about a 1,000 calorie goal. Since I'm short 340 calories, those are calories then I would then move to my snack load. And my snacks would look something like this. Again, I would want a mix of simple carbs. I could have the dried fruit, some energy chews, or even, traditional candies would work. I also need sustained energy to keep me going, and there's a variety. The Cliff Bars, the energy bar, Lara bars also work. This Kind bar, which is grain cereal based, those are all complex carbs for that sustained energy. And then I want to add some proteins. I have Slim Jim, it's a meat protein. You can also use a dairy protein such as cheese. This Kind bar has nuts, which are proteins, or you can just go and buy a regular protein bar. This type of snack pile offers a lot of variety, and one of the things you want to do is mix it up. You don't want to concentrate on one type of bar or one type of candy. Another option is a traditional Snickers bar, which also includes nuts, proteins, different types of energies, and the traditional trail mix, which is literally a mix of all these types of foods. But again, I don't think you want to spend hours and hours just eating one type of food. So variety and mix it up. Dinners are a little bit simpler. Generally what you do is you get a freeze-dried meal, whatever flavor you like. But check on the back, the calories for the entire packet, and then split in two if you consider this 2 servings. I've never been climbing with anybody who considered one of these 2 servings. Again, 600 calories. You can augment that from your snack pile. Another way to increase the calories is add a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil, which is very dense with a caloric value, and is really good for that evening before you're going to sleep. You'll have the energy to burn throughout the night to keep you warm. So those are just an examples of mixing up the different types of food for your alpine climb. Now, what I've discussed are only rules of thumb to get you started. Use your experience and common sense to adjust and tailor your menu to fit you. But here are a few more tips. Go simple. Avoid the temptation to go gourmet and try to impress your climbing team. Save your energy and enthusiasm for the climb. Simple saves time, energy, fuel, and cleanup. And also be aware of fatigue and the altitude. They're both appetite killers, and you just don't feel like eating. So plan on foods that you really like and are easy to eat. Remember, what sounds good at 1,000 feet might end up being very unappetizing at 10,000 feet. Think about finger foods which are cold versus bowl foods which are usually hot. For example, I'd rather eat a hot oatmeal breakfast rather than a cold bagel or breakfast bar, but you get to decide. Are you a spicy or bland food person? Remember, altitude and physical exertion affects your digestive system, and at 2 a.m. at 12,000 feet isn't the time to discover your body doesn't like Thai food. And of course, keep the weight and bulk down. Look for calorie-dense foods with complex carbs and proteins. Last bit of advice. Before the climb, do a taste test and a digestive system test at home. Make sure you actually like the food and will eat it and digest it without any issues. So thank you very much and good climbing.